best friend.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I'm sitting here in the studio with my friend, repeat guest, political pundit or commentator or correspondent. I feel like I ask you this every time.
Works.
Commentator, writer, mother, lover, Mary Katharine Ham. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Oh, such generous applause.
I believe this is your 9th time on the show.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I looked up when you were last on in 2022, and at that time I said it was your 8th.
Oh,
so
look at that.
Based on just simple chronology, I will deduce this is your 9th.
There you go.
Hello, Tony Thaxton.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm exhausted, but I'm here. I'm ready to hit buttons and turn knobs.
I like that about you.
I had a question though on that. Does that make her a record holder for a Monday show?
Yeah. Possibly. I'm trying to because for a little while there was like a special group of people who had been on 4 times,
right? Like
Greg Proops, and I don't know who else. But you've eclipsed them.
Well, it's an elite group, and I'm proud to be part of it.
This listeners. Has anyone else been on the Monday show 9 times?
It's because it's over such a long span. I started so long ago when I was young and fresh.
This is a combination of Monday shows and group shows to make your 9, but still, I do think you might be in a unique...
didn't realize group shows were
but I think you've only been on like 2 or 3 group shows. No.
Maybe just
I think
one.
she's only been on 1.
Okay.
Or maybe
With
just
JQJ.
1. That's right. Mm-hmm. Okay, wow. This is momentous. We need to catch up.
Yes.
Because you popped out another child.
Indeed.
Since the last time. I didn't even realize that till I went back and I read that. No, I mean, I knew that you had another child. Your first son.
It's fair. It's fair. A lot of people lost track, so it's fine.
No, but I thought that I'd had, because I typically have you on after every birth.
Yes.
But the number 8 show was the number after the number 3 baby. Mm-hmm. So we need to talk about that. So this
is a new, okay.
Yeah, we need to get
new baby, new show.
There's some gal chat things we need to talk about because you and I have a pretty... I'm trying to think what adjective, how I would describe our text chain. Oh. Just important. We have an important text back and forth about, Botox, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because and eyeliner and other stuff.
Yeah,
it's really actually I feel I've mischaracterized it. It's not like there's a lot of it's that I have been open about like being curious about Botox, and so you've weighed in.
Yes,
yeah. But we need to get to gal chat stuff, and more.
Well, we can start with the fact that I'm so glad that I washed my hair for this momentous occasion, because I am 9 months postpartum now, which means my hair is just starting to do
baby hairs,
the weird adjustment to itself again, because I had 2 babies so close together that I had double pregnancy hair.
Oh,
and it was, if I do say so myself, amazing.
Wow.
And after he was born, I was like, enjoy these 4 months because it will be the best hair you ever have. So now I'm adjusting, and my hair had just hit, the science of your hair washings and when they happen. I hit the limit right before I was supposed to come here.
What's the science of hair washing?
Like I thought I could just let my hair wash last a little longer.
Oh yes. No, I know exactly what you mean.
And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh no, we need to take care of this before we go to Allison's house. So I did.
You did. Well,
the math has all changed because my hair is changing.
Right. Tony, how much do you know about postpartum hair?
This is all news to me now.
Perfect. Okay. So when you're pregnant, your hair becomes magnificent. You are like a Finesse or a Suave commercial, a Vidal Sassoon commercial. Is it like, I think actually it stopped shedding, right? So it just becomes there's so much of it and it looks incredible. Mm-hmm. The time that you need at least.
I know.
You don't need to be drawing people to you.
I know. You really don't. Yeah, so normally you lose so many hairs per day, and then while you're pregnant, you just don't. They don't fall out, and so you get this big, giant, beautiful hair.
Yeah, and then about it's 4 months later,
3 or 4 months after.
Yeah, it starts falling out, and then it like grows in, and you get this little like
you can see my little line of baby bangs,
and that's the regrowth, but it's like you have like a tiny Caesar haircut Remember the Caesar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tiny Caesar under your hair.
Yep.
So I didn't realize it's only been 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And my toddler just turned 2, which if you're keeping track means I had 2 under 2 for 9.5 months.
Jeez. So fill us in.
Well,
how close are they?
about 14 months apart. Yeah.
So he was a surprise. Was he a surprise?
He was a semi-surprise.
Mm-hmm.
He was I'm really kind of getting up there in years. I'm hitting the end of the old fertility window.
Right.
So if we wanted to do this, we'd probably have to do it pretty quickly. And then I was like, oh, look at that.
So it happened very quickly.
Which is a great blessing. And I'm so glad that it worked out that way. And then it turned out I had a dang boy. I mean, who could I just assumed 100% it was a girl.
Yeah. Mary Katharine has 3 other girls.
I have 3 girls.
And not 3 other girls, 3 girls. Tell me their ages again. So
they
2.
10, 7, and 2.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. And you have come on before and talked about how you get hyperemesis gravidarum.
Yes.
Yes. Meaning you get like incredibly sick during your pregnancies. Weren't you like throwing up on live TV? Just leaning over?
I would have a trash can with me on live TV. That makes producers very nervous. But the boy, a walk in the park compared to the girls.
Were you sick at all?
I was sick, but it was like normal people level.
Right.
And it tapered off after first trimester like it's supposed to. Like I've always heard that it does.
Yeah.
And I had far more energy. I wasn't great, but considering it was my oldest pregnancy, it was especially miraculous that it was so
amazing.
Much easier.
Yeah. Now
I still didn't like it. But
do people think that because he's a boy, you have less morning sickness? Is there science behind that?
So I'm a little rusty on the science, but in my research in the past, I do believe it's true that there is some evidence, there's some statistically significant evidence that for women who are prone to HG, as I am, that girls can be harder on you than boys. Now, I have plenty of friends who felt sicker with their boys, so it's not for everyone. But in my case, it might be that was easier for that reason.
Do you know why, though?
They think there's actually there's not a ton of research on this. But they think perhaps it's hormonal, that you're doubling up on an estrogen or progesterone that
interesting
is making you sick.
Right.
But that is just one theory. There are many theories.
Yeah. Okay. And so in terms of the actual labor, did you go to that place that makes you like hike up a couple, staircases?
I did go up the staircase. This birth was...
So this is a birth center that's like not on the ground floor, right?
Yes.
Tony, doesn't that seem curious?
Yeah, that's
your clientele.
It's on the second floor of an old town Alexandria town home.
It sounds like a bed and breakfast. A bread and breakfast.
It's a bit like that. It's actually decorated like a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
It feels very bed and breakfasty. But the activities are not bed and breakfasty.
Do they even say anything about like, oh, sorry about the stairs, I know that you're completely incapacitated?
No, not really.
They just, okay. What's on the ground floor?
The ground floor is sort of the reception area, 1 or 2 rooms, I think, for phlebotomy. There's a phlebotomy room. And then...
Make those people walk. I guess some people might be woozy.
The birthing room and the appointment rooms.
How many people are birthing at once there?
It depends. I have been the only one all the times that I have given birth there.
Nice.
It's because people don't intersect that often. They also do a ton of home births. So I think I'm in the minority that I do it at the building.
Right. Is it because it would make too much of a mess?
My husband would not like that part.
We know he's organized.
I just like there's a little bit of separation between the pain of this event and returning home to this different place that I'm going to want to find comforting.
That makes sense. Yeah. But also people who do have home births, and I know that you have not, so you're not the expert on it, but Tony, you might be the expert. I'm going to need an expert. Like,
I'm pretty hippie on birth in general, so I can fill in for the home birth section here.
Do you? I'm just wondering the logistics of it. Do you have special sheets for the event? Do you how do you? There's a lot of fluids and mess and all that stuff.
So the birth center birth is very similar to a home birth. It actually doesn't have any more bells and whistles really than a home birth. You're just doing it somewhere else. So I know the process, and the process is that they lay out what are sort of like doctor grade puppy pads on the bed when you're having a baby. But it is made up like a bed. And then you're allowed to be in whatever position and whatever place and eat food and all those things that you can't do at the hospital. And they sort of coach you around and give you hints for like what might work better for you.
Right.
The midwives do. And then after you've had the baby, they give the baby to you immediately. You lay down on the bed, and then an amazing thing happens, which is that they like clean up everything without you ever really noticing it. They're very swift and deft. Is that the word?
Sure.
For that.
They said nimble as well.
Yeah. And so you're just hanging out with your brand new baby, and you've been through some stuff, and they sort of clean up. And then about an hour later, I go and take a shower when I'm stable and can do that. And they remake the entire thing. And then you come back and lay on a nice clean bed.
Wow. That's impressive.
So it's good. And I have become quite hippie about birth. I do it unmedicated in this place. But the reason I chose to do that is not so much because of that part of it, but because of the part that you've talked about this on your show many times with many women. They listen to me.
You don't feel like just a body with a baby inside.
I have great friends who are labor and delivery nurses and do wonderful, wonderful work doing that compassionate work. But my first hospital birth really made me feel like, is anyone thinking about me?
Right.
I'm scared.
The container, yeah.
Right. I've never done this before. I'm an educated adult. I have some thoughts on things. Please treat me like I have thoughts on things. And then I went for my second birth to this midwife practice, and it was just so different. And they have confidence in me, and the way that they frame things is so positive. And, you know, like I said, you can move around to whatever position you want. I was in like 17 positions for this last baby because he's quite stubborn.
Brag.
I know, right? He was quite stubborn. But I felt like, you know, my midwife was with me through that. She wasn't sort of freaking me out that it was taking longer than normal.
Right.
She was saying, look, he's in a not ideal position.
What position was he in?
He was sunny side up.
Oh, okay.
To which she told me that a couple hours in, and I said, super. That was my answer.
Are they doing it? How are they telling? Are they doing an ultrasound? Is it from like, do they have ultrasound stuff in there?
They don't have ultrasound
monitors
there. I had gotten an ultrasound elsewhere, and they were concerned that he was a little bit in a position where he might turn sunny side up. He was not on the cervix. Don't you love this, Tony? Every time I come, you get to hear about my cervix. He was not on the cervix. He was like sort of tucked up in a different, like with his head over on the right side. And so they were concerned he might be that way. And she deduced that by sort of mapping his position, which still blows my mind that they can figure that out. And then when he was like sort of on his way out, they're like, oh, that's why this is taking longer.
So did he come out sunny side up?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's breech, right?
No, that one's not breech. It just means his
breech means feet
or
first.
butt first.
Sunny side up means, so they want their spine. That means his spine is like in the same direction as your spine, right?
Yes.
So that it's called back labor.
Yes.
It's the most painful. It's like extremely painful.
So, and interestingly, I didn't have back labor as part of this.
Okay.
It was very uncomfortable labor, but I didn't have that part of it, and I don't know why.
Right.
But he did come out
face up.
Face up, and I get this all mixed up when I try to rethink about it too. But it just took longer, and because he was in this weird position, I had false labor for a day, and I felt very embarrassed because I went to the birth center and I was like, this is definitely it. Because I'm a fourth-time mother.
Yeah, of course you would know.
I know what labor is. And I was having contractions every 5 to 7 minutes, and they were getting harder. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely it. And I had 1 or 2 really hard ones, and I was like, oh, goodness. Well, and my last baby came quite quickly, so I was like, let's go ahead and go. We spend the night there. The midwife comes in. The birth assistant comes in. Everyone spends the night there. I'm having contractions every 5 to 7 minutes, and at 4 a.m, they stop.
Oh, wow. That's so weird.
So the next day I go and like get an induction massage and like eat all the pineapple and all the things you're supposed to do. Cause he was like 5 or 6 days overdue at this point, past my due date at this point, and I'm over 40. So you want to kind of get this moving. And I went back in that night, and she actually checked me, and she's like, I was having medium labor, and she checked me because she was just curious, like, what stage are we at here?
Like a cervical check?
Yeah, and they don't normally do
right. They don't want
to
put their fingers up by that.
But because I had been in labor for a while and we're trying to figure this out, I was 8.5 centimeters.
Oh my God.
And she's like, you're 8.5 centimeters. I was like, well, that's not real because this does not feel like transition labor. And the reason was because he was not in the correct position. So my body was, my cervix basically said, we're doing this, buddy. Mm-hmm. And eventually I had to move him over and kick him out. So.
Wow. So wait, you were in false labor.
Yeah.
It stopped. And then how soon after did you go into real labor?
It was the next evening.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was.
And then by the time you got there, you were 8.5 centimeters.
Yes.
That's almost baby time.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, how long after?
Even after that, it was 3-ish hours, I would say, because he was just. If he had been where he was supposed to be, we would have been show on the road.
And now that he's here, does he still seem to not be where he's supposed to be? Like, is this a personality trait of him?
No, well, I wondered, right? Because I do think, my third was a girl and she was really just, we were working together and she was on her way out and there was no stopping her. And that went very efficiently. He just sat there and I did all the work and I was like, men. With apologies to men. But he's a real sweetheart. I wondered if he would give me trouble in life because my other kids were real nasty to me while they were in the womb, but they were lovely when they got out. But he has also been lovely.
I know he's very young to start seeing these things already, but like, does he seem different than the others?
There's a big difference between his sister and him. So the 2-year-old is giant personality, but says very few words. She's very physical. She's very like a forceful personality. You can see that about her. Fierce little girl. He seems like a real sweetheart.
Okay.
And he also is my earliest talker.
Oh, really? He's already talking?
He says bottle.
Oh.
And the reason he says bottle is because his sister is so rude and steals it from him all the time. And his defense, because survival, he cannot conquer her, is bah! Ah! So,
wow.
We shall see.
That's cute.
Where they end up.
And how are the older two liking it?
Oh, they're loving it. So my 10-year-old is a little cool for school. Mm-hmm. But the 7-year-old is very into taking care of them. And they're both very competent. I do not want to parentize them, but they do help out a lot. And it's great when you have 2 under 2 to be able to close up the living room because we have sort of blocked off. It's all baby-proofed in there. Go do your makeup and just say, can you sit in here with the babies? And that is like a real luxury.
Yeah, that's great. Occasionally, I will need to go do something, and I'm still in hearing distance, in earshot, but I'll say to Elliot, like, can you, like, just make sure Owen doesn't do X, Y, Z. And then I think, like, I just left a 6-year-old in charge of a 4-year-old.
Like, that's not a 6-year-old.
He is, but it's still, like, no one would be understanding of my position if something went awry.
Right.
Okay. So
I think you're playing the percentage as well. I think you're okay.
Thank you. All right. So, Tony, you have returned from 2 whirlwind tour legs.
Mm-hmm.
And how was the last one? Because while we were getting set up, you and Daniel were talking.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to hear about it. So fill us in.
Yeah, that's why I'm exhausted. It was a fun but exhausting weekend because we played the When We Were Young festival in Vegas. That was Saturday and Sunday. And then after the show Sunday, had time to hang out in Vegas all day, basically. But then we had a red-eye flight to Miami.
Oh, my God. I overheard red eye. I didn't realize it was to Miami. So Tony plays drums in Motion City Soundtrack. For anyone who doesn't know, I just want them to realize
that I'm
he's
a huge deal.
Decorated drummer.
That's right. He's got a gold record, and more.
Yeah, another one coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Congrats for which album?
Commit This to Memory, our second record.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you already thought about where you're going to put it on the wall? Like, is it going to go? It's going to go next to the original one, right?
Probably, yes. I don't know when we're getting it yet, though. Because last I heard is that it had surpassed the sales point, but it hadn't been certified yet, so I don't know how long.
By the RIAA?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so fly to Miami, take a red eye.
Red eye to Miami.
Was that miserable?
Oh, yeah, because I can't sleep on planes.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, I was up all night. We landed at like 7:30 or something in the morning, and got to hang out in a hotel, but not long enough to even really try to rest. We were there for maybe an hour, and then we had to go hop on a shuttle bus that was going to take us to this boat because we were playing the kickoff show of this cruise, and
is it
Coheed and Cambria cruise?
Okay.
And so we were not playing we weren't leaving to go on the cruise. We were just going to play the kickoff show, which I believe we played it was like 5:15 p.m. that we were playing. So basically when we went on stage, I'd been up for, I don't know, 36 hours or something like that. Oof. And
were you to the point where like you felt like you were on a boat, but then you also were on a boat? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel that way? If I haven't slept enough, my description of it is always like I feel like a hologram. Like I feel everything, my perception is off and sensation. I feel like I'm like on a wooden drawbridge or something that's swinging.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I will say this. It is a rare benefit of having ADHD and taking medication for it, because that kind of like helped like snap me out of it a bit. And
your go pills.
I felt like, yeah, exactly. I felt kind of human like by the time we had to play. And then, and then once we stopped playing, because the cruise was leaving maybe we played at 4:15 and done by 5, and the boat was leaving at like 6. So we literally had 30 minutes to get all of our stuff off the boat because the boat is leaving.
Stressful.
Yeah. We did it somehow. We got off of there and went back to the hotel and passed out right away and flew back home super early the next morning. And now
you're here.
And now
you got home yesterday, right?
I got home yesterday. I went to bed. I got in bed at 7:00 last night.
Oh, that's smart.
Exhausted. And I thought like, I'm going to wake up at like 4 in the morning.
Right.
Slept till 7 in the morning.
Good for you.
Yeah. It feels like a life highlight to me.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I know.
Yeah. And I'm still feeling it though. I thought, but yeah, it was a crazy weekend that feels like it was about a month long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now how long? Are you back for a while?
Yes. Mostly. Flo and I are taking a vacation to Hawaii at the beginning of actually like about 2 weeks. And then I got to go leave town for one other thing, but then around until New Year's.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
That sounds miserable. I mean, but so glamorous.
I mean, the shows were great. Like the Vegas shows especially were gigantic. Like
yes, you took pictures from your spot on the stage, and once again I had that reaction of like, you guys are so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Such a big stage. Yeah.
And that actually was like kind of reasonably sized, I feel like, because sometimes festivals can be really, really spread out. But yeah, this was, I don't know, I guess I'm used to it. I don't know.
I know. How do you decide where everyone stands?
I don't know.
Like everyone could stand. I mean, I know that visually it's probably not as good for the audience, but like everyone could stand closer together.
Could, but yeah, I think it just looks better if you're kind of taking up more of the stage. Yeah.
Got it. Mary Katharine, where do you come down on boats? I'm anti-boat.
I like boats, actually. I don't. So cruising would not be my preferred form of vacation, but I have gone on them before.
It's them. So there's been multiples.
Yes, because I used to do like, there are affinity cruises for bands. There are affinity cruises for hobbies, Beanie Babies or whatever it is that you're into.
Yes, my friend Laura. Do you know Laura Lou? Do you know that name?
I don't think so.
She was in New York when I was. But anyway, she went on a rubber stamping cruise.
Yes.
Because her mom is all about rubber stamping.
So there are affinity cruises for political magazines, and I used to write for those. So we would go on cruises. I find it very soothing. I sleep well. It's rocking.
Really?
I don't get motion sickness on a cruise. I enjoy it.
Must be nice. Yeah, no, I get
expense my martinis at the bar, It's a good time.
I get motion sick, but also I'm just like kind of afraid, I think. We went to Venice I guess it was like, 20 something years ago. Have you been to Venice?
I've never been to Venice. I've been to several places in Italy, but not Venice.
I mean, beautiful city.
You talking about the crazy airport shuttle? Is that what you're going to talk about?
No, I was going to talk about the water taxi. Is there a crazy airport shuttle too?
Yeah,
Is it the same thing?
Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to take a boat
yes,
to
that's
the
what I was saying.
airport.
Yeah.
It's so
and so
crazy.
you have your gigantic suitcase with you if you're me.
Yeah.
And then you have to get onto the boat. And it's not like I imagine a cruise. There's probably like a jetway, cruiseway, right? It's like a big ramp.
Yeah.
This is like you're just stepping into a boat.
Yeah.
And you lug your suitcase. So first of all, I get on and it's like wonk, wonk. And then I bring my suitcase on and I'm like, I feel like this is going to fall in the water, first of all. And then second of all, I feel like I'm going to capsize this thing with my Samsonite. It's just it feels very precarious.
Yeah. It's weird. That one messed with me a little bit too. I remember feeling weird by the time I got off of there. Yeah.
Now, were you there with your rock band?
No. That I was there with my ex-wife.
Oh, was
so
that a
thanks
honeymoon?
for bringing it up.
Was it a honeymoon?
No, it was a trip with her family.
Yeah. Gotcha. Should we just sit here and pause uncomfortably?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was cool because I'd been to Italy, but just on tour, so I got to actually see Italy this time because the previous times were not very. I got to see nothing and weren't exactly great.
Right.
So this was nice to actually see some of it.
Did you go to Florence? I think that's I've only been to Venice and Florence, but I do think Florence. No, and I've been to Portofino. I think Florence might be my favorite.
I think I've been a couple places. I've been to Florence. I was in Umbria this summer, which is south of Tuscany.
Oh, right.
That area. We did an Italian vacation.
How fun.
And then I love Rome. People are always like,
oh, yes, I've been there too.
Rome is hot and dirty and crowded. And I don't experience that at all. I think it's lovely. I always have a great time there. I've been there twice, once when I was 20 and now. But I had a great time. We walked like 20 miles through Rome over 2 days and had a fantastic time.
Yeah, seeing the Colosseum in person is one of the crazier things I think I've ever seen. It's just surreal thinking about how long that has been there and the things that happened there.
It was hot though when I went.
We missed the terrible heat wave this summer. We came right after it, and so we actually lucked out pretty well on weather, and we went without children, which was quite an undertaking. We split them between grandparents.
Oh, that's smart.
2 went to one set and two in the other set.
That's
and
smart.
It was we divided and conquered that, and it worked out pretty well.
I'm trying to think. Daniel and I together have only spent one night away from the kids, and it was my friend's wedding in San Francisco. Owen was 4 months old, and I realized this is too soon for me to do this.
4 months is tricky.
Yeah, I felt like we couldn't miss his wedding. It was my friend Trevor who's the one who like officiated at our wedding, and I've been friends with him since I was like 13, and we just couldn't miss it. He would have understood, but I just didn't want to. But then, as soon as I was there, I was like, this feels wrong. Yeah. And then I have been away for Sketchfest a couple times. I think that's right. But yeah, we've never left them.
Yeah,
someday.
It's hard to pull off. This one was a year-long undertaking.
Yeah.
And actually my friend Guy Benson is who we went with. Him and his husband and some other friends rented this big house. And when you rent a big property like that, it looks super fancy, and it is super fancy. But if you split it between 7 couples,
that's smart.
It is not so expensive. So Guy asked me when I was 6 months pregnant, do you think you could manage this next summer? And I had to decide, am I going to be so anxious,
right,
leaving the 2 babies, my older kids, not an issue, because I know they're sort of very independent and they can handle themselves, and I'm not putting like a big burden on anyone. But the babies, I thought, I don't know if I'll feel comfortable with that. And I made a gamble, and I felt pretty good.
Good. And then did it go well?
Yes, we had a great time.
No, but I mean for taking care of the kids.
Oh, the kids had a fantastic time.
They did. Okay.
My husband's mom she's who I was referencing earlier, partly is a labor and delivery nurse. So she's great with kids, great with babies. Ideal. And so they had a blast. The kids had a blast. Yeah. Everyone, they barely missed us.
Well, it's perfect. It's perfect. Okay. So when you were last on, unless it was the time before or the time after, I don't know, one of the times, we were talking about what had happened with you at CNN. And where are you now? Like what's been going on lately?
So I'm not with a network right now,
Okay.
which is I'm actually having quite a bit of fun because I don't have to ask permission from
Right.
anyone to do anything. And so I was on Bill Maher a couple weeks ago, the first show back for
nice.
post-strike. And I appear on Fox occasionally, and I do a ton of podcasts and sort of just do my freelancing thing. And I've been having a lot of fun doing that.
Good.
It's different. I'm the kind of personality that is okay with being a little unmoored. My husband is not as comfortable with that situation. He has a very stable, different job situation than I do. But I'm comfortable with that. And I feel like it opens opportunities to me to not jump from one thing to the other and get super committed again. So I've been trying out a bunch of stuff and having fun doing it.
Do you want to land at a network again?
So I think there are, of course, upsides to that. I think I think I would fit in well at Fox, and I've had fun doing that in the interim. I would say that, and this has sort of always been my philosophy, is that I want other things to be front facing and that the TV part to fuel the other things.
Yeah.
And that becomes hard because writing is harder than being on TV. It takes more time. It takes more thinking, but I want to keep my foot in that. I love public speaking. It's maybe my favorite thing that I do. And the TV fuels that part of my career. So as long as it continues to do that, I'm happy without necessarily immediately jumping into something.
Right. When you say public speaking, do you mean, because you were doing some public speaking in town now, right? Is that the kind of stuff you're talking about?
Yeah. So I just did this was the California Chamber of Commerce, and my left-leaning counterpart, Liz Smith, who was she's great. We were at Georgetown Institute of Politics fellows together. She was a Buttigieg campaign person, actually was was the first staffer for Buttigieg before he became kind of a big thing during that cycle. And she and I had a great time tossing around like the state of ridiculousness and just chatting about what's happening, giving people a bit of a preview for 2024.
Got it. Yeah. So when you say you love public speaking, do you mean like live in person stuff?
Oh, I just love an audience.
I see.
It doesn't really matter what I'm talking about. That part is not as important to me.
I've been thinking about it I've been thinking about myself lately, as I often do. And I've been trying to think like why, because so many people that I have on the show love live performances. They, most of their career is in a theater on a stage. And I just have I loved being in plays when I was younger, but since then, like I've never loved that environment. And I've been trying to figure out why. Like it makes me nervous in a way that this doesn't make me nervous. But I always loved doing live television. Like that was my favorite. Or, recorded live. What's it? Shot as if it's live. Shot to tape. Live to tape.
There you
Thank you. I'm like, I know these words are in my head somewhere. Live tape. I like that a lot. I prefer that to like a number of takes. You know. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just a lack of like not doing it enough that it becomes rote, or I don't know what it is.
I just like feedback from an audience. To me, that is super fun. One of my favorite things to do is to speak in front of semi-hostile audiences who I assume are going to come in loaded for bear. And it's not so hostile that it's problematic, but I like the idea of having to make my case, turning a few people, watching their faces go, why do I not hate her? I thought I was going to hate her. And so I enjoy that part of it. And, you can end up having a ton of fun with people,
right?
Just because you take that chance. And I find, much like live TV, it's very, and your medication, this is my medication, is that it just makes my brain go, whoop, like everything works together all of a sudden in a way that it didn't before I walked out in front of an audience.
Yes. That is such a good description for how live TV always was for me. And it's always in short bursts. Like I was never like, well, you've done actually like stuff at the debates where you're on for a long time. But my live TV, it was just like hits on morning news or whatever. So it's short. It really like, everything, it just dials it in.
Yeah.
Everything just goes away.
My brain
and-
is at its best
Yes.
in that moment. And I think, wow, what would I accomplish if it were always like this? But there's no way it's ever going to be.
See, that's so interesting that you like that kind of conflict and that like semi-combative environment, because I have spent the last couple days arguing with people about politics, about the Middle East on Threads. Threads is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like the Instagram's version of Twitter. And what everyone says about it is that it's so nice because it's not all the jerks that are on Twitter, which is now X. And somehow I have curated an experience for myself where it is miserable.
Right.
I'm like, this is exactly the fucking same. It is, and like, because of the people, I don't know, because of the people I've been fighting with, my feed is just exclusively things that are going to anger me. And I'm doing it to myself. It started because there was this one woman who was awful and stupid and young and not informed, and I want her to walk into it, to fall in a volcano. She's just like, I almost think she's like a bot or something, because it's just talking points over and over again. And I started with just going back and forth with her a little bit. I was the aggressor, by the way. Like, and then I like, because Threads is feeding it to me,
Right.
I'm like chiming in on her other conference. Like, she I just got to correct your little fucking point here. And what about this? And I mean, I'm being a full on troll, but not trolling.
Yeah.
I'm being a troll for good.
That's what all trolls think.
I know. No, but I really am. And then suddenly I'm like doing it with like all these other people. I'm like, what am I doing?
You have to measure what's worth it. Like, as my husband says, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
And often social media arguing the juice is not worth the squeeze. And I have a better, I think I'm odd in this way. I have a better experience on Twitter now than I used to, because I took a big break in 2020, 2021, because it was just too fraught and people were being so awful to each other, and we were going through a big thing. And
Well, did he come after you, Trump?
Yes.
So he like turned a bunch of people on you, right?
Yeah,
Or
but
sicked them on you.
yeah, they've lost interest though. That was a pitched couple of days, but it was relatively short lived. And when I took that big break, I feel like whatever settings I made when I came back made the experience better for me. And I just don't see as
Wait,
much.
do you mean actual like muting certain words and things, like actual settings?
I didn't mute words. At one point I did. I only wanted to see people who followed me.
Oh yeah.
Tweets.
Mm-hmm.
At one point I did, verified mentions, or people who follow me can comment. I didn't keep anybody from commenting. I just kept
You didn't saw it in
smaller,
your feed. Yeah.
because I was just taking in too much. And I think also when you're speaking live in a room with people, it's more personal, and they are self-selected to be there mostly to listen to you. Some college students are not there to listen to me, or want to disrupt, but that's not usually the case. And so they're self-selected to be there because I'm speaking, and so that's not the case with Twitter, right?
Right.
They are there to hear me, but mostly to maybe
Argue.
antagonize me.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out when it's worth it for you.
Right. But like so here's what I took a big detour, because I had to get that. I had to get my stupid experience that I'm doing to myself off my chest. And usually in here, I'm doing it again. I just got to get it out. I put the kids to bed, and then I lay there next to Owen and I look at my phone and I get angry. But this morning I decided to look and get angry. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm not even keeping it I'm not, partitioning my anger correctly anymore, because now it's in the morning.
Your evening anger has become your
my
morning
anger.
Sunrise.
But anyway, when I am like, in a get a negative tweet or get something from a troll when I'm not the troll, it's like my adrenaline starts going.
Yeah.
And I like respond because Daniel is very methodical. He gets really upset about this stuff too, but he's methodical, and he'll be like, really want to understand, like, what is the stupid point you're making? You know, whereas I am like, I think the stupid point they're making is this, and so I'm just going to debunk it.
Right.
Like, I don't even really, it's like, I don't do it with I'm not calm about it, but I imagine you must be if you enjoy a room where people don't quite agree with you.
Yeah, sometimes I am calm about it. I think Twitter is an environment. Again, it's the environment. Twitter is an environment where, yes, your adrenaline is going to get jacked up. In a room with people, mine doesn't do that. And it's more of a mental puzzle for me to figure out the best way to respond to somebody in good faith, but also taking, like standing up for myself and making clear what I'm trying to say. And whether it's live TV or doing that in front of an audience, I like that mental game. That is fun for me. And I know I'm a weirdo. It's not necessarily a normal thing.
No, it makes sense why you'd be a political commentator.
Yeah, I think I accidentally fell into this thing that happens to be perfect for my disposition. But yeah.
Yeah. Because we met through Red Eye. Or we both used to. We never were on together though. I don't think.
Know if
but
we were on together,
and
if we were remote, so we wouldn't have been in the same place.
But we both used to do Red Eye, and then through that, the one thing I always liked about Fox is that, like, if they like you, they start putting you on all their shows. So they were like, I was appearing on a bunch of different shows, but I realized kind of quickly that because I've always been left leaning. Arguing my point in that environment, that is not where I shine. Like, I get flummoxed and I feel quickly like this person knows more. They're more of an expert. Like, I'm not a political wonk. I just, and I feel like I can make some points, but in general, that kind of political discourse is not, not where I shine.
Well, it's also, that's you were in the sort of, ratio that I was in at CNN, right? So there's several people on the other side of the issue from you. That is an inherently challenging situation. Yeah. And most people would be flummoxed by that.
Right.
I think one of
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that is helpful for having those conversations is to lower the stakes for yourself. And I always tell college students, like, you guys are like the street preachers of politics, right? You're just yelling at somebody hoping that they're going to be completely converted in that moment. And it's like, that's not how you win hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Perhaps be less transactional and think to yourself, like, my goal is usually, I hope this person walks away or this group walks away thinking, I had never thought about it that way before.
That's so smart.
And that really lowers the stakes. I'm not trying to turn you into me. People are trying to turn me into them. I'm not going to do it. But if you engage in that way, I think it makes it easier to just have the exchange. You don't have to win the exchange.
Right.
I mean, unless somebody is being a total dick, in which case you should crush them. But.
That's interesting. Yeah. Red Eye, it was never bad on Red Eye, but I went on Hannity. And again, that also wasn't bad, but I remember talking with one of the other anchors there who was like, if you could be like the Ann Coulter of the left, that would be like so good, that'd be good with him. And I was just like, I don't think I can though. I don't know what that means. And I don't know if I can.
Well, she's so cutting. Like,
right.
I don't do cutting. I do jokey. Right. And you do more of that. So
totally.
It's a very different vibe.
Yeah. I want to talk to you guys about EveryPlate. Hoping to budget your food expenses this fall? Get more bang for your bite with America's best value meal kit. EveryPlate has no hidden fees, so you can count on great value week after week. Plus, only pay for what you need with pre-portioned ingredients. Choose EveryPlate over takeout to save money while still enjoying fresh, satisfying meals. Their meals are substantially cheaper than your average fast casual meal. They're the easiest way to eat affordably. Put the money you save towards making plans this fall. With the jam-packed fall season well underway, you can count on EveryPlate to make mealtimes easier without compromising on quality. EveryPlate recipes include only the highest quality ingredients, including sustainably sourced seafood that meets the Monterey Bay Aquarium seafood rankings, so you know your meals will be fresh and flavorful. I love EveryPlate. It is one of the most affordable options out there, if not the most affordable. It is delicious. Their creamy Dijon chicken is out of this world. When it arrives, I like making the meals with the kids, and because it's pre-portioned, it just takes the guesswork out of it. It makes it super duper easy. At first I was skeptical, thinking meal kits are probably expensive, but now I'm convinced you can get the same deliciousness at a much lower price. Get started with Every Plate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49Allison. Again, get started with Every Plate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49Allison. That's up to $110 value. Okay. So was there fallout from you talking about your experience at CNN? And just for anyone who is just joining us on this episode, you had tweeted something about Jeffrey Toobin,
right?
And then got in trouble for that. And so they like weren't using you, but they didn't tell you that.
They didn't inform me. That's why I was in trouble. They never actually talked to me about it until Chris Licht, who had a very short tenure at CNN, and now there's somebody else there. When he took over, they came to me eventually 3 or 4 months into his tenure and said, oops, we figured out this thing is happening, which is that the former head of CNN, Zucker, had objected to this tweet about Jeff Toobin and was buddies with him and had told everybody, don't use her. And I said, well, why didn't you just talk to me? And they said, well, you just had a baby.
So patronizing.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I can't believe you said that out loud to me. So I was ticked off. They invited me back. I was under contract for another 6 months. They invited me back, but I just felt like I couldn't go back with a smile on my face and act like everything was fine. And no one was really making any moves to make me feel better. So I just said, well, this is what happened. And I talked about it publicly. Now, like, I'm not welcome on air over there. But aside from that, I don't feel like, I'm not blacklisted in this town. You'll never work again. Like, it's not like that. I think a lot of people felt that I was wronged when I told that story, and that I was right to tell it. And I'm comfortable with that. That was the part that was eating me up, was being quiet about it.
Yeah.
And once it was out there, I was like, oh, I feel so much better. I don't care if I have a job anymore.
And now when you say you're not welcome on air, you just know this, or that has been communicated
it's like
to you?
We broke up, Right. We don't need to hang out.
Yes.
Is what it feels like.
I understand. That makes sense.
Yeah. Perhaps that would change in the future, but it was some breathing room.
Let's get into the gal chat of it all.
Ooh,
gal chat. Okay. I've been using the Laneige lip mask. Are you familiar with this?
I know of it.
Okay.
Yes.
I like it a lot. It's pretty good. This is Tony. This is like a lip balm that you're.
Of course I know.
I don't know. What would you use? Chapstick? What do you use?
No.
How do you moisturize those soup coolers?
Soup coolers?
Is that a thing? Yes. I haven't heard it in a long time, but I've heard people refer to their lips as their soup coolers.
I will remember that.
I feel like that was a real Poconos reference. Like that feels like an old
maybe, yeah. I'm trying to think
soup coolers.
Who is it that I heard? I feel like there was someone named Melissa who came from like the Real World or Road Rules empire and had big lips and braces and referred to her lips as soup coolers.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. But anyway, so I've been using this. I like it. I don't know that it's made a huge difference. However, oftentimes when I have lipstick on, like I do now, and I'm talking into it. So basically when I'm doing my show, I'm like, I feel like there's a tiny little like lip flake on the inside.
Yeah,
and I just want to
we don't love that like dry lipstick in the middle of your
right. I want to just get it. And so I try to just like bite it. And then it's like I'm sitting here on video, youtube.com/Allison Rosen, looking like a lizard, just like flicking my tongue over it, just trying to surreptitiously pick it or whatever. Do you get lip flakes? What do you do?
So I am wearing a lipstick by Bite Beauty.
Oh,
which is like it's a lip pencil / crayon that's a matte, but is extremely moisturizing and wonderful.
Can that be? Because usually matte is the antithesis of moisturizer. I'm just going to write that down.
I bought myself a ton of them for this reason, because they feel so nice and normal. when you put them on.
Okay.
So Bite Beauty.
All right. Good to know.
For that reason, I'm not getting lip flakes. But, if I were not using that, perhaps I would.
But let's say you're on air. Mm-hmm. You feel like you got a flake. What do you do?
I feel like I would just ignore it. Definitely ignore it if I were on.
That's so smart.
On TV.
Yeah.
And then, but I get so glossed up for TV.
Right.
I feel like there's no flaking.
No flaking because they've got that stuff.
It's a gloss heavy look.
Down. Yes. Eyeliner. Where are you these days?
Okay. So I'm using Benefit now.
Okay.
I'm off Lorac because there was a confusion about what was available to me. And so I went to Benefit, which is nice. And the drawing of the line is similar to Lorac. The only complaint I have about it, and it's really not a complaint, is that when it's brand new and in black, it's so pigmented that you will end up having trouble getting it entirely off. But it doesn't spread too much. It doesn't wander. It wanders a little more than Lorac, but it's still good. So
I had been using Maybelline Hyper Easy, which is a pen. I went to buy Kat Von D's tattoo liner.
I've heard that's very good.
It's good. It's very black. And I like very black, but it's like I think it's a little bit too much actually for me. Maybe it's like a very blue black. Mm-hmm. I went to buy that at Ulta and she said, do you want to try one they were out of it. Do you want to try one that's similar? And she gave me this Maybelline Hyper Easy. It's not expensive. And I love it.
Nice.
And then I got another one. Love it. However, it started drying out, so I need to replace it. So I have gone back to, I told you, you turned me on to Lorac. Mm-hmm. I forget what it was called, the specific
also stopped carrying it, which is one of the reasons I fell off, because there's an Ulta right by my house, and I was picking it up there, and then I couldn't find it again.
They discontinued the one that you and I were using, but there's like Lorac Pro Liner. So there's one that has taken its place, and I've gone back to that. That's what I have on now.
Oh, well, it looks very nice.
Thank you. And I'm not mad at it.
Okay. Well, now I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to dip my toe back in.
Yeah, try it. I might have gotten it on Amazon though. I can't remember where I actually got it.
I get a little wary of Amazon cosmetics.
Sometimes I do too, but then I think, but have I ever received anything that I think is counterfeit? I don't think I have.
Well, mine's not concerned about counterfeit as much as how long has it been sitting somewhere?
Oh,
or has it been hot for a long time? And maybe that's a made up thing. And maybe it's behind Ulta also hot and sitting for a while. I don't know.
I know what you mean though. I know what you mean.
But I got a couple of eyeliners at one point. I think they were Styla from Amazon.
Okay.
That definitely were off. And I think that was a shipping/storage issue.
Right. Yeah. It does feel it's a little like the Wild West. You don't exactly know. But in a pinch.
Be careful out there, guys.
Yeah. But in a pinch, I've gotten a lot of decent cosmetics from
Well, look,
Amazon.
I also don't want to go to the store. Yeah. So that's an important part of the formula.
What's your grocery shopping MO? Because you probably heard me talk on the show. We were committed. We were committed grocery delivery people because we're lazy. However, we are now trying to save money, and grocery delivery is a luxury. And, unless you're a jerk, you got to put on like a hefty tip, and then there's service and all that stuff. So we are now going to grocery stores. In theory, we're saving money. I don't feel like we really are, but in theory we are. And we're inconveniencing ourselves.
Yes.
And we're on the hunt for the cheapest groceries in LA. Trader Joe's is pretty cheap, but they don't have everything.
Do you guys have Aldi?
So
there
or
are
Lidl?
some out here now. There didn't used to be, but I swear it's a new thing out here.
On Instacart, where I do my expensive delivery, I saw that there is an Aldi. So I don't know where it is, but it must be here. Are they well priced?
Aldi is the hack.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
all like knockoff kind of.
Oh,
It's
really?
like Pittsburgh cream cheese. It's like that kind of stuff.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's similar. You're not going to get very specialized items at Aldi. So that's one thing. It's a staples place.
Right.
And then you will get sort of their brand of whatever it is. Generally, it's quite good. I get tons of cheeses there and they're good. So I don't feel like the quality falls off. I started going there because when my first two daughters were toddlers, they ate so many berries. And if you get the on sale berries at Aldi, it will change your life.
Okay.
I felt like I was in a new tax bracket because it was $165 for blueberries instead of $7.88 or whatever. And now it's, $7.
$6 or $7. Yeah.
So during that time of my life, I saved a lot of money at Aldi, and we continue to shop there. But we are doing mostly delivery.
You are.
We have so many children, and they have places to be and activities, and we have places to be and activities, and it just became so much easier.
It is easier.
We have a whiteboard where you put up what you need. My husband, who's a master logistician, puts it in the app, makes sure it comes to the house. It's one of the wonderful things that I no longer have to worry about.
That's nice.
Shows up, and then we put it in the fridge, and we make food. So I am not mad at it.
What's the shopping experience at Aldi like? Is it like being at a 99-cent store?
No, it's no frills, but it's not. Depending on the age,
like
of
a Smart and Final.
Just depending on the age of the store. So the Aldi near us is fairly new, so it's a lovely experience. But it is not Wegmans. It's not. I don't know what y'all's version of Wegmans is, which is
Wegmans
the
upscale?
more high end. Yeah,
like Gelson's.
Yeah, probably. It's not like that.
Right.
It is definitely more cardboard boxes around and less selection.
Okay.
I haven't been in one forever, but doesn't it almost have like maybe I'm way off on this, but almost like a warehousey kind of feel?
Like Costco?
It can have that vibe, but it's not as big as Costco.
Okay.
It's like a mini warehouse.
Yeah.
We have like a mini Target around here. Did you know that those exist?
Those suck.
No.
I hate those. I get mad because when I'm on tour, a lot of times I'll need a Target. And so I'll like search and then I'm like, oh, there's a Target. And then if I show up and it's one of those bullshit small Targets, I'm so mad.
Yeah.
It's not
they don't have
helping you.
anything.
It's not what you need.
Yeah. It's sort of like, when you're checking out at the grocery store, those things that are like right there on the end cap. It's like if that were a store.
Oh.
I mean, not really, but it's like very much not.
Gummy bears and some pantyhose.
And
Thank you very much.
Certs. Do they still make certs?
That's a good question.
I haven't seen a cert.
Certs and Rolos are hanging out together somewhere.
Right. No, I have seen Rolos though. Yeah.
Rolos.
But no, certs with Retsin have been gone for a while, I think.
Certs are no more.
Does it say as of when?
2018. More recent than I would have guessed.
Who killed certs?
This should be a campaign. Like, do you remember the Who Killed JR era on Dallas?
We are really dating ourselves, by the way. That's a 1981 reference, I believe, possibly earlier.
It was just funny because you and I were not alive then. We were born in the 90s. Yeah, Who Killed Certs? I got to know.
It does say it was discontinued in 2018, possibly for having partially hydrogenated cottonseed oil, which is not allowed as an ingredient in food sold in the United States.
I didn't know this.
Maybe we can get them in Europe. Have them shipped.
Yes,
have them
along
smuggled
with
in.
Korean sunscreen. Yes.
Oh, I do. Speaking of gal chat, I have some Korean skincare.
You do, please.
That I got from a friend who went to Korea and brought me masks and a little sort of it's a dispenser of the snail mucin.
I was going to say, are you doing the snail stuff?
I'm trying it.
Do you like it?
Here's the thing with me. I don't know how to figure out what things are doing to my skin.
No one does. I don't think anyone does.
How do you do that? I guess you have to stay consistent with it for a while, but people tell me you need to stay consistent with it for a while, but those same people are constantly pitching new products and switching things.
Yeah. No, I think you have, like, today I used a different shampoo and then I was going to use a different conditioner too. And I'm like, nope, we are going to be scientific. Got to control.
Scientific. Yeah. You need control. That's
control
smart.
For the new variable. Mm-hmm. So, Tony, do you know about snail mucin?
I don't think so.
Okay. This is snail slime that people are putting on their face.
Cool.
I was going to call it snail jizz, but I don't think snails are ejaculating. They're just like sliming on mesh, and then people are collecting the slime.
It's ethically collected, I believe.
It's
okay, good.
I don't think snails.
Now I don't hate it anymore.
It's cruelty free, although
cage free snails.
Yeah, they're free range. Although arguably, like, do they enjoy this? I don't know. I don't know what snails enjoy. So anyway, they gather the snail goo, and then I don't know what they mix with it, and then they sell it, and people are raving about it. You get what they call glass skin, which is what we all are supposed to want right now, which is like very like clear, shiny skin. But clear. I just, By clear, I
Not
mean
translucent.
Yeah, no, I don't.
As I asked it, I was like, oh, that's because hearing the word glass and then clear
right
after that
yes.
was confusing.
You can see straight. I can see your uvula with your mouth closed. No, by clear, I mean like not blotchy. I guess I don't know, like clear. You know, but I can't get past the snail of it all.
Yeah,
but Mary Katharine can.
I mean, I gave it a try. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if there are astounding results.
Does it feel like I've heard the consistency is
snaily?
It's viscous, I would say.
Oh my God.
That made it sound worse, didn't it? I could have just said gooey, but no, I said viscous.
So like if you put it in your hands, then you go like this with your fingers, it's going to go like
a little bit
string.
Yes.
So it's sticky.
Yes. Not on your face though.
Just in your fingers.
Yeah. It feels quite
soothing
minimal on your skin.
Minimal.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm new to all of this.
I don't think I can do it. You know, I've been thinking I'm having the same reaction that I have when I think about microneedling. Are you familiar?
That
have
sounds
you done
gross
this?
to me too, but I'd be willing to try it. I never have, but it sounds.
I keep thinking, can I try it? Because it's of all the like things you can do to your face, it's not that. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not like a laser or something like that. But the idea of a bunch of tiny little needles going in and out of my face or rolling across my face or whatever they do, and like leaving blood that they have to wipe away. Now I know they numb you, but I also
don't want my face numb.
Oh,
my face feels weird being numb. I don't like that.
Yeah, it does feel weird. Yeah.
I'd probably prefer the pain. Are we seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
Childbirth and now this. Like,
and then, you know, I didn't even ask ahead of time. Do you talk about Botox and stuff like that?
I don't know if I have, but it's not for any reason.
Okay.
I tried it a couple of years ago for the first time, and I have a group of friends who are all younger than I am and look fantastic, and they do it, and I thought, these ladies don't look frozen or weird.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps this is something I could try, and I'm open to new things. And I tried. I'm very timid. Yeah. Extremely timid.
Because you don't want to look weird? That's why or because I'm also afraid of pain.
Yeah, I don't love the feeling of it, but I'm timid because I do TV and public appearances. I don't want something to possibly happen that makes an eyebrow go wonky. And then I got to spend 3 months rehabbing that before. So I keep it very chill. And I just want I don't have 11s, but I have a 1 instead of 11s. I do just a tiny bit there. And I was surprised how much I liked it. I really was. But that's the extent of my experience.
But so you only had it right there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I was very timid.
Yeah. But you told me that the feeling of it creeps you out a little bit.
Yes.
And I relate to that. I related to that. So the first time I had it, I've had it 3 times. The third time was just a lip flip and in my chin, which I actually weirdly liked the chin Botox. Like it was very subtle, but I feel like
how did you feel about the lip flip? I had some friends do that and they felt like it felt weird.
It does feel weird. So the first time I had it done, it lasted like, I swear, 2 weeks. It went away so fast. And then the second time they used a little bit more and it lasted maybe 4 or 5 weeks. It feels weird for maybe like the first 10 days or something. Right. But it looks really good, I think. Nice. I mean, I like the effect of it because I'm afraid to do lip filler or anything like that, but it definitely like made my upper lip look a little more plump. But yeah, it's weird. And like you feel like people can hear it. And
can you hear my lips? No, and of course then since that time I've been basically pregnant for 2 years. So I was very hands off during that time because you could argue that it would be fine. In fact,
but don't they recommend against it?
Yes, but in the same way that they recommend against a lot of things that are not actually that dangerous.
Right.
And Emily Oster has actually written about Botox and whether you can do it. And some people who have migraines and stuff will continue to have Botox to fix those while they're pregnant because it's very localized. All that throat curling aside, I didn't do it for a while, and I didn't do retinoids. You're not supposed to do while pregnant, and then so I was hands off for a while. But when you're pregnant, your skin is also like,
yeah, your hair and your skin,
everything's amazing.
Yeah,
you have your like youthful fat back in your face. And then it goes away again.
Right. So the first time I had it done, I was very numb because I had also had a laser thing done. And I was like, this isn't bad at all. I can't feel it. And then the second time, I don't know why I thought the fact that I didn't feel it that time when I was totally numb means I won't feel it this time when I'm not numb. Like that was...
Yeah, that doesn't track.
It doesn't make sense at all. It's the same as, and I have been this person, the person who's like, on Lexapro, I feel better. I'm pretty sure I don't need Lexapro anymore. Like, no, that's
I'm fine now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all better. But anyway, the second time, I just like could not handle the sound of the needle going in my face, like did you say
gross.
it's like popping a grape skin?
No, it's like, I didn't say that, but someone told me before it is like a little crunchy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, crunchy.
Yeah. It's like just the sound of it piercing your skin and then the little, or like the like squeezy sound. Oh, and then like the lip flip actually is very uncomfortable. It's painful. They might, it's just a little pinch. No, it's not. I mean, or it's a big pinch and it's a needle in your lip.
Your soup coolers?
Tony, they pierced the soup coolers. Yeah. So I just felt like violated is a really strong word. I don't want to say violated, but I was just like I was intending to do a little more that day. And I said, let's not. Like, let's do it another time. Because I just couldn't. I just felt like someone was attacking me with a needle. And I also felt embarrassed about how much I hated it. Because I know that most people are like, it's no big deal. Like, this feels like I want to punch someone.
No, I've had 4 kids with, I guess the first one I had a tiny bit of pain meds, 4 basically unmedicated. And I just don't like certain kinds of feelings.
Yes.
And I really don't love this kind of.
Yeah. It's
not
same.
that I love labor, but it feels more doable to me.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that recently. I've been thinking about how pain in a medical setting is different. Like when I had an endometrial biopsy, it was so uncomfortable, so painful, like surprisingly. And she had told me it's about a 7 out of 10. And for some reason, I thought there's no way it'll be like a 3 or 4. It was a true 7.
Yeah.
It really hurt. And the other night, Daniel stepped on my foot. And that really hurt. But it was like over kind of fast.
Right.
And truthfully, that hurt worse, I think, than the endometrial biopsy, but it didn't scare me. I think it's like the pain plus the fear. Like there's a lot of, or like my kids will take like a wrong move and, headbutt me. Actually, the headbutts have hurt, but like I feel like all the time especially me because I'm clumsy, in the course of just going about my day, I'm knocking into things, I'm hurting myself. All of those are more painful than like a needle in my lip or anything that happens in a medical setting. But I think because I'm like so worried about it. Yeah.
This is, it reminds me of something my midwife told me with this birth, which I loved. And similarly, when you get tense about birth, it's harder to give birth.
Right.
And so one of the reasons I go to this place is because I feel more chilled out there. And at one point, because it was a harder birth, I was standing up. She's across the room. She looks at me and she says, I see you panicking, because it was transition labor. It was a lot. And she goes, you need to put that panic in your pelvis. Put that panic in your pelvis.
Oh my God.
I was like, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds positive and like I have something to do now and put my mind on. And it really helped.
So what did you visualize? Put that panic in your pelvis.
Put panic in your pelvis. I don't know, but Dorothy guided me and I felt like she helped me along.
That's a good midwife name.
It is.
Yeah.
Dorothy just nailed it every time. She delivered 3 of my kids.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So she knows your pelvis quite well.
Exactly. We work well together.
How does she sleep? Because she must be, they must do shifts that allow them to sleep
right.
well.
They do shifts where they're on call. Mm-hmm. So there will be times. I mean, it's a hard life to be a doula or a midwife because you are on call for large parts of a month if you've got a cohort of people coming through.
Right. So can they do they do any IVs there? Like, will they start an IV there if they need to?
I think they can do nitrous, which I've never had. And they have Pitocin. So not for inducing labor. They have Pitocin for after labor.
Right.
Twice I've had to have a little shot to get the
placenta out.
moving.
Yeah.
And so they have that to make sure that
Right.
everything's moving along post-birth.
Mm-hmm. But that's a shot, right? Not a
It's
an IV.
It's not an IV.
Yeah. I think we should do Just Me or Everyone.
Oh, yes.
Do you happen to have one?
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
All right. Do you have a Just Me or Everyone?
I think I do.
Great.
I thought of it just now. So, no, I totally do my assignments before I come on the show. It's fine, guys. I walk around 65% of the time with a nail that is
oh my God.
uneven,
Mm-hmm.
jagged, wrong in some way, and bugging the shit out of me. And I have nail clippers all over my house.
Oh.
In many places because I know this about myself.
Because it drives you
And
nuts.
yet, when I'm with the nail clippers, it does not occur to me that the nail has been bugging the shit out of me
Yeah.
for the rest of the entire day. They never coalesce. They never come together.
You need to like put a Swiss Army knife that has a file on it on your keychain. That was what I was thinking I should do. Like I always need a tool because like to get into a box or I don't know, because I find myself like opening boxes with keys and then ripping them open and then getting a paper cut but then it occurred to me like, but I don't carry my key ring around all the time.
Right.
So that's not really going to work.
And you can't fly with that.
Right.
You'd lose that quickly.
I am
For your plain nail issues.
I am always annoyed by a nail that is jagged.
Yes.
But clippers wouldn't be my go-to. A nail file would be.
Oh, I'm a clipper gal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I have 15 pairs all around the house. And
Right.
It doesn't matter. Maybe I need to go back down to one so that there's a place that I clip my nails.
Right.
And I go to that place and take care of it.
But see, so after you use the clipper, my clipper skills are wanting, I guess. After you use the clipper, you don't need to like follow it up with a nail file?
Generally, I'm all right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever find that when you get your nails done, you know how they'll trim them for you
Right.
in whatever shape you want?
Mm-hmm.
They're not that careful about whether they're uneven.
Oh, no.
They trim them at the place. And
Do you mean uneven, like not smooth, or do you mean
No,
like
like
one
the-
side is a little bit?
one side is
yeah.
higher, and it drives
I know.
me crazy. But I become this isn't just me or everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In a nail salon,
You become docile.
I am the least assertive person you have ever met in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I will fight on national TV all day long. But if you ask me what color nails I
Right.
want, and you're sort of like standing there, I'm going to pick something I hate and then just roll with it.
Oh, that's so interesting. Do you feel like you're a burden to them?
Yes.
I don't get my nails done a lot. But there was like a few months when I was in high school where I had nice nails that I got done regularly. And I went to the woman that my mom went to, and that they had like the colors next to their station, and you'd choose your color after they had already prepared your nails and all that. This thing that I don't know if this is where every place or just it's a trend or whatever, where you choose your color right when you walk in. No, I need the time to think about
you
it.
need to think about. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I do feel like they spring it on you.
They do.
Although
yeah.
I guess I should know that I'm going to a nail salon, right? Like I planned to go there.
You might just, find yourself. Yeah, I guess.
But I do seize up, and then what usually happens is I pick purple. I always pick purple. That's a nice color, but
it is. I always do either maroon or like a whitish color. Anytime I veered from that, it didn't feel like me.
yeah, I can't do white. I don't
Yeah.
feel like that works for me.
Are you a
But
gel
I admire
person?
other people who can. No, I don't do gel. The last 2 times I've done gel was right before I had a baby because for some reason, when I'm in labor, I like to have my nails look nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not concerned about it at any other time, but it makes me feel
You're done. You're done
good.
up. Yeah.
I've done some self-care. So I did gel nails before this baby was born, and they were Christmas themed
Ooh.
because I was sure he was going to be born around Christmas because all of my kids came early, and then he came on January 6th, and my nails looked terrible. And then they were all kind of ripped up for many months They make my nails so weak. I don't like to.
Yeah, same. They they stay on great, and then they weaken your nails.
They're great while they're there.
Right. For a little while, excuse me, oh God, there's a bug, Tony! No!
I've never seen someone make such a huge deal out of the tiniest bugs.
That's so small I could not see it.
I almost never see them.
It was midge-sized.
Is that some kind of Virginia bug?
Oh,
that
is a southern bug, I think.
I am unfamiliar.
Maybe Midwestern.
As a Western Yankee, I don't know midges, but I know tiny fucking gnats. It's gone now.
I think a midge is just a gnat. It's just a different
Probably. I like that though. It's so cute sounding.
Colorful word for
yeah.
it.
I was doing like glittery silver or pink nails for a little while. So I had veered a little bit in my gel days. But yeah, no. Gel, it's like the juice is not worth the squeeze.
There you go.
I tell Steve that I used it. Okay. So I want everyone to know I have started taking Just Mirror Everyone's over Instagram now because I was taking them on Twitter /X at ARIYNBF. If anyone wants to send them to me at ARIYNBF, I will collect it there. But I just feel like not as many people are getting off of that platform and they keep like emailing them to me or sending them to me in different ways. And then I lose them. So if you go to at Allison Rosen on Instagram, there's in my the highlight bubbles on the left, it says JMOE. There's a little, box that you can submit it in the box. Don't DM it to me. If you did DM it to me, don't feel bad though. I will use it, but do it in the little box and then everything will be good. Okay. So here is one that I received on DM today. Okay. Allison, not me, says, whenever I put clothes in the washer and can't immediately find my phone, I panic and think it is now spinning around inside with my wet laundry. I love that. I feel like this is a quintessential JMO. I do not have this one specifically, but every time I'm near a toilet with my phone, which is every time I'm near a toilet, I worry about it dropping in and I imagine it dropping. I've knock on wood never dropped a phone in the toilet, which I feel like is something that has happened to a lot of people.
I've done it at least once.
Okay.
It's terrible. Yeah.
I did drop a watch in the toilet at my therapist's office many years ago. And then I really liked the watch, so I wasn't just going to flush it. So I fished it out with like a Ziploc bag turned inside and out. And then took it to a jeweler and cleaned it. But I do think there's a little bit of rust inside still. I don't wear this.
Tell the jeweler why you needed it.
No, thank God it was dropped into a clean toilet.
Sanitize afterwards.
Yeah, I know.
It was so long ago that I dropped a phone into the toilet that it was a BlackBerry.
Oh, wow. That's special. It's a claim to fame. Tony, phone, toilet?
I believe I did it once, but only once. I've had that thought about the laundry too.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm usually pretty good at knowing where my things are and hanging
that
on
one.
to them.
The laundry one has not occurred to me. When I do lose my phone, I go pretty all out with searching freezers and refrigerators, thinking like it's entirely likely that this is on a shelf of food if I was getting something else. But the laundry, not generally.
Is it often on a shelf of food?
Yeah. So what I do is I'll be running around the house doing various errands, putting things away, and I just put it on whatever surface is nearest to my hand when I walk into a room. But when I've been in 17 different rooms, I live in a mansion.
How different? You should have a phone for each room.
I should. When I've been in 17 different rooms and there's 4 surfaces in each room, I don't know which surface I left it on.
Yeah.
And there are some weird ones.
I am constant. I don't leave it in like, why did I put it there? It's not like next to, the graham crackers or something. But I'm constantly putting it down. I really should have one place I put it down. But my mother-in-law was like, see, you don't want to be tethered to it or something. I'm like, I don't know if it's that.
Is that true? No, I'm somehow constantly on my phone and constantly losing it.
Yes.
And I don't know how that's a thing.
That's how I am too. I do find my phone in my own house a lot.
Yeah. Mine's on windowsills. It's on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is in the pantry frequently because I'll put it down to like grab a snack.
Right.
And then I'm like, where is that damn thing?
Here's a Just Mirror, everyone. When I set my phone down, I put it like screen side down. And worse, when I set my glasses down, I put them lens side down. I've had to really stop myself from doing that. I don't know why I do that, but that just me or everyone?
Yeah, I definitely put my phone screen side up,
Same.
usually. Unless I need it to not distract me.
I guess I feel like it's like rude or something if I do that.
It probably
you know
is.
what
I'm probably rude. Just me or everyone.
It's always, I think I'm setting it down always because I'm like, enough of you.
Yeah.
I have to go be with my children now, or I have to go this, or I have to anything. The only reason I'm setting it down is because someone else needs something from me.
Well, that's good. That's a good practice.
Well, it'd be good if I also was setting it down for on my own.
I know.
You know?
I'm attempting to model good behavior. We've probably talked about this before, but
How's that working?
I don't want my children to see me constantly on a phone.
Yeah.
It's, my habits are bad enough that they make fun of me for it.
Mhm.
And that's good because I should be made fun of a little bit, especially because they don't get a lot of screen time. They read books. In fact, I would be a much better person if I read as much as my two oldest daughters do,
Yeah.
because I deprive them of this toy that I have with me all the time.
So they don't have tablets or anything.
They have tablets, but their time is pretty restricted.
How do you do it? Because my kids are like, it's unrestricted and it's not good.
So this is Steve's doing.
Of course.
I mean, I'm part of it, but because he is a consistent human, whereas I am very loosey-goosey, the baseline in our house is that that's not what we're doing. The baseline is you play, you got Barbies, you got your blocks, you can go out in the neighborhood. We're trying to turn them into 90s kids. You can go out in the neighborhood and wander around. And they read a ton, which is very nice for us. And then...
Is it like a reward?
Yeah, when they're done with chores and whatever, on certain nights, they'll get a short period of screen time.
Got it.
We watch TV together, but we don't do the individual screens.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I need to like reel it in.
I just find that it's an uphill climb to sort of reboot that situation, no pun intended. It's an uphill climb to do that, but the work is worth it because their moods are better. And gosh, the stuff that my kids tell me from all the books they're reading, I'm like, oh, really? How did you learn that? Well done. So I feel like it really paid off once we had gone through the period where they were mourning them.
So they used to have them more.
They used to have... They never had like really sophisticated tablets. They had some broken down old iPad, but I would say they probably had more TV time and a little bit more tablet time until the pandemic. In the pandemic, we tried very hard to just be like, you need to read. I'm going to teach you to read, and then you're going to read.
And did they freak out over not having tablets?
No, because it wasn't that
screen
much
time. I see.
of an adjustment. But there is a shift in going from my crutch is this to that crutch doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
It's more of an issue for me, frankly.
Right.
But we do notice if they have a lot more screen time, their moods will turn at some point.
Yeah, it's true. Why is it overstimulation? Maybe it's overstimulation.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, my mood turns when I'm on my phone.
Are they on social media? What's happening? I'm just kidding. I'm just
Are
kidding.
you guys tweeting again?
What if like the people I'm fighting with, what if it's my own kids on Threads? What if they're on Threads?
Gosh.
What if they're just yelling about Palestine? Wasn't gonna. Okay.
This is like the mom fight you had on the Facebook thread.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, now we're just having a conversation between us and not defining our terms, but it's like those people have taken over social. That's all I'm arguing with. It's like, anyway.
It is the way of the world on the social media. I tell people, especially new moms, I'm like, don't join the mom group.
Don't do it.
Don't join Nextdoor. It is designed to make you hate moms and hate your next door neighbors.
Yeah.
I like to see them in person before I hate them. That's how I like to do it.
Right. You want the hate to be more organic.
Yes.
Mary Katharine, do you have a hey, go fuck yourself?
I do, but it's a little political.
That's fine.
All right.
My God, what if we want the same people to go fuck themselves right now?
I mean, we might. It's Middle Eastern themed.
We probably do. I feel like, so our mutual friend, Essie Cupp, Republican.
Right.
I don't know if she identifies as a Republican right now, but she always was conservative Republican. And she's written a lot in the last few years about feeling disenfranchised from her own party. This party that she always, took pride in and blah, blah, blah. And like, just, she has a lot of issues with what's happening on the right.
Right.
I have always been left-leaning. I would have described myself as liberal, although I feel like progressive is the term now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so upset with the rhetoric on the left right now. And I guess disenfranchised and feeling like, where do I fit in it? It's like, I'm not used to this feeling. I think because I don't, like Daniel had been DSA. He's more left than I am, and he's more into it than I am. He's more political than I am. So I don't think of myself as like a highly political person. That's not true. I'm not outwardly publicly highly political, but I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, it sucks. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I have one, and I'm going to do a run up to it. I have friends who are in Israel. I have Jewish friends who have been on the phone with victims for 17 days straight, and their families, who have people in danger, who have people who've been called up, and the toll it has taken on those families, and even the people who are just witnessing the carnage of October 7th is tremendous. And I'm checking in with them frequently to make sure they're taking care of themselves. And that does not mean that there is not other damage to innocent people who are in Gaza. That does not mean that, but it does mean that I am focused on those folks and the unprovoked attack on non-combatants. And the people who are, I'm going to make this easy for everybody, because you don't have to agree with me about this issue to agree with the go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
The people who are tearing down posters
of hostages
kidnapped,
or not hostages, of missing people.
Yeah, kidnapped children.
Yeah.
Who are being kept in the Gaza Strip. That's disgraceful. I don't know what they're trying to communicate. Are they communicating that they don't believe this is real, which is a form of denialism? Are they communicating that these people deserve to be kidnapped, even though they are? I will never stop seeing that redheaded 9-month-old.
I know.
Kafir is his name. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but my kid is the same age. And further, you are welcome on campus, anywhere, to have a gathering, to have all the speech you want that is repulsive to me. Have at it. And I will say it's repulsive because it's my right to speak about it. It's not your right to tear down other people's speech, particularly when that speech is commemorating and publicizing that these innocents are still in danger. I think it's so heartless. I find it disturbing to watch. And so to the people doing that, who are welcome to have their gatherings and their speech, for taking down other people's speech in this horrible, heartless way.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
I agree with you 100%. If your response to anyone talking about what happened on October 7th is, yeah, but what about? It comes off as you don't care about what happened. You think it was deserved.
Yes.
And it screams anti-Semitism. And also, if you're chanting from the river to the sea, that is 100%. Like, what that means is you want to annihilate Jews from the river to the sea. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that
many of them probably
don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still alarming.
Yes.
A lot of so that's the thing, is that I think that the people who we're talking about mostly, maybe not the ones ripping down the posters, but like a lot of the discourse online is very young people. From the polls, the people between 18 and 24 are the most feel that Hamas, they are freedom fighters.
Yeah.
And I think they are so young that they don't have, as much as they're screaming about 75 years, they don't have a larger context, and they don't realize how much they're repeating really old anti-Semitic tropes.
Yes.
But I do.
Well, and those tropes have been elevated in this sort of academic language that is, look, if you have, and again, I'm a free speech enthusiast, and I argue against these ideas on campuses frequently. That's my part, is that I add my speech to the pile. But if you have dedicated yourself to the ideology that if you can identify someone as an oppressor,
I know,
then they are a combatant. No matter what that person is, you have released yourself from moral duties.
Right.
You have released yourself from right or wrong, and you can justify anything. And that is a real problem. And you're seeing that in the language. And I have found it again. And this is a moment I've been in this situation where I have continually looked at what would be my preferred side and gone, what the hell is happening over here? And this is a moment where many of my friends have had to go, what the hell is happening over here on to the left?
That's how I feel.
And I need to distance myself from it, because this is the moment where you can't say, well, there's fine people on both sides, right? When it's Hamas, that's the Trump line, right? That's this is like a gajillion Charlottesvilles.
Right.
Right.
But you can say it's a shame that innocent people are being harmed on both sides.
Yes.
But the I don't know how to characterize them. The people that I'm talking about, like, they won't even go that far. Like, I'm upset by the bits, but,
Yes.
It's like,
it's very, and we are a next day story culture where people want to move past this thing, but I do not want to move past that, because it's a pogrom. We have seen this, and honestly, the number of people killed in this pogrom dwarfs many of the original pogroms.
I know.
Like it's
and the
horrifying.
crimes people are saying are worse than what happened in the Holocaust. And now that feels very much like splitting hairs, like one was cold, clinical, sadistic, one's like angry,
yes,
in the heat of the moment, sadistic, but I mean, they're all awful, but yes, exactly.
And none of that means that you are not interested in better outcomes for people on both sides of this fence. But to me, it does mean the people who were attacked that day and the country and the military that is there to defend them, because the world tried to exterminate them another time,
many
they
times.
are not obligated to lay down their arms. That is, I know I've really brought up the room here.
No,
but
it's like,
it's been way.
I'm hesitant. I mean, I've been hesitant to I'm hesitant to like talk that much about it, because not with you, but I mean, I'm not saying don't talk, like, on social media, because I'm like, it's not changing anyone's mind.
Yeah. I mean, but also like,
but my friends are like, and it's like my friends are posting opposite things.
Right.
And I don't want to be in a fight with them.
Let Amy Schumer be your muse.
Yes.
She has been on fire, and she's
and Brett Gelman too. I don't know if you follow him.
And I think this is part of modern life, and having these conversations and finding the line where you say no, even to your own side, and having the courage to do that. Schumer's rhetoric about having the courage to do that has been really cool to see, because it is hard when you are on the same side as somebody nominally in a bunch of other ways to go, whoa, that thing is not for me.
Right.
So it makes everyone uncomfortable.
But I feel
that's
like
my job.
If you're screaming about a ceasefire, which, by the way, yes, of course, like, it's awful. It's awful. Rockets on both sides are awful. Right. But if you're screaming about a ceasefire, what is your plan for getting the hostages back?
Right.
And if you say that, then the response will be, what about all the detainees in Israel?
Right.
It's like, no, that's not an answer to the question, unless you're suggesting trade them, which I don't think they are. I think they're just deflecting.
Well, it also, if you trade them, it incentivizes more.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. It's like, I feel like this is like foreign policy or negotiating with terrorists 101. You can't reward someone for kidnapping, raping, and beheading, innocent people.
Right.
That's a terrible precedent.
It's bad. We need to think of another story to round this out, don't we?
I know. No,
it has been weighing on me, because my many friends, and I have many, many Jewish friends, I think have felt existential dread in a way that they were not ready to feel or had never felt during their lifetimes.
Right. Yes.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm right there.
It's a scar that will not heal.
Right. No, I yeah, it's really disheartening, and it's really depressing, and it's also scary. Like this level of rise in anti-Semitism is scary. And then I tell myself, well, but this is social media mostly. I mean, except that there are, horrendous things happening.
Well,
but I don't know.
Social media creates virality, and some of the poster stuff is, well, I saw this on TikTok, so I'm going to go do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it sort of amplifies. It is not our best selves in that environment.
No, it's not a great time right now. Okay. We do have a couple. I take questions on Patreon. I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. And I have a couple questions that people have sent in for you. And let me pull them up.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
Here's a comment from Seth Eisenberg. Don't have a great question, but just want to say that not only is she one of my favorite guests, but she is one of the best Twitter follows. Really thoughtful political posts. Even when I disagree with her, she always makes me think.
Oh, that's so nice. I feel like a lot of times I'm just goofing off on Twitter. It depends. My tone changes wildly from moment to moment on Twitter, but I do feel like it's a place. I've been more active there lately because for breaking news and hard news, I think it is a good place to be, as long as you're willing to filter properly what is real and what is not, which takes some work. But it's also a place to laugh at the absurdity of everything. If you can do that without getting mired in it.
Right.
And it deserves laughing at much of it.
Becky Milner has a few questions. Will you record more episodes of Lady Brains?
Oh, so it's funny. We used to do this Lady Brains podcast, and all of us just had, I think we had something like 14 kids during the run of that show, because there were 6 or 7 of us friends, and we were all just having all these babies. And it just got so much to schedule, even though we talked to each other all the time, but setting up this recording was really tough. And what we should have done, looking back perhaps, and it was right on the cusp of that, is just done like a Patreon or something. But we felt like we just needed a break. And one friend who did most of the work, frankly, for putting that together, Lindsay, shout out Lindsay, she had just had her first child. And we were like, you know what? Instead of you worrying about your postpartum duties to Lady Brains, how about we just rest?
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we did a revival one day.
Are you still doing Getting Hammered?
I am. So that's twice a week.
Lovely.
With Vic. And it's been heavy lately. We try to keep it light. We try to bring it up at the end of the show so we have some light stuff. But although the Speaker of the House stuff has kept it very absurdist. So we have that going for us.
Any production updates on the swim vest?
Oh, so we are awaiting a patent for that.
Oh, that's so cool.
And the patent process takes a while. So it's like in the patent pending, which is what a lot of people are in sort of this for a long time. And what our attempt is going to be to license it to a larger company.
Oh, that's smart.
Because the insurance part is very tricky if you're on your own, as you would imagine, because it's kids in water.
Yeah, totally.
But next summer, I'm going to try it on the 2-year-old who will be almost 3 by next summer. She was almost swimming this summer.
Wow.
On her own with no instruction. She just knows how to use her body, and she's weirdly strong. And I was like, oh my gosh, if we had another week and this vest fit you, you'd be swimming.
Yeah. Do you have a pool, or is it at your lake house?
Yeah, we swim at the lake. And then we do have a pool in our neighborhood as well.
Okay. Are the older girls playing sports?
So they play some sports. They have played soccer, and one of my daughters is like Ferdinand the Bull. She's just like looking at flowers and hanging out. The other daughter is more interested in sports, but is also like the kindest soul. So she'll be running toward a soccer ball, and she's sort of like, by all means, you first. and I'm on the sidelines. I was raised with 2 brothers, and I think I have a killer instinct that perhaps these 2 don't have in the same way. And I'm like, the ball is yours, Brittany! I'm delightful on the sidelines. But they didn't love that. So we've switched to some other things. They did tennis for a while. We're looking at maybe some martial arts. One kid did fencing for a bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay. Is Scout the king at doggy daycare?
Oh, yes. And he's beloved. Look, I know that they say this to everybody, but do they say this to everyone? They brought him out the other day from doggy daycare, and she handed the leash to me, and he sat down next to us, and she looks at him, and she looks at me, and she goes, he's perfect.
Oh. So on TikTok a lot, it's like there's a lot of stuff about like you should not own a Belgian Malinois. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
You know, like all the, you know, criteria for what you need to own one. And I always think like, yeah, because you have a husband who knows how to train these kind of dogs.
Yes, we have a skilled person in the house, and he also, the dog has a great temperament, and we got very lucky in that way. But he's well trained. My husband is good at that. We have very clear boundaries, both with the children and the dog.
Where does the dog sleep?
He actually sleeps on the bed. He's
Okay.
allowed on our bed. That is the only piece of furniture he's allowed on. But he doesn't really like to. He sleeps there for a few minutes like, hey, love you guys. Okay, I'm moving to my own bed.
Right.
He needs his space.
Interesting. So Steve thinks dogs can sleep in beds. There's a lot of Wendy sleeps in our bed, but there's I feel like a fair amount of dog trainers are like dogs should not sleep in beds.
So most people would assume that Steve would be anti the dog in the bed. I actually thought that. But because he understands he's not supposed to be on couches or anywhere else on furniture. This is his one spot. And like, he's kind of meh on it.
Is Bentley in bed with you guys?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, does he keep you up?
No, it's mostly fine. He just, he likes to lay the wrong way a lot, of course.
Yeah.
And he turns into he is a boulder, basically. And he just becomes so heavy and will not cooperate.
Some dogs are like that, where you're like, wait, this is a small dog, but it's so dense. Yeah. You're so dense. Yeah. Scout is very large, so I know that I'm really going to be in for it if I attempt to move him. So I have to gear up for that so I don't injure my old body moving the dog around.
And lastly, a comment. Love the Getting Hammered podcast. You and Vic are a delight to listen to.
Oh, thank you so much. Vic is great. Vic is a longtime magazine editor. The reason I do the show with him is because he has interest other than politics. We are both in that world, but he loves food and wine writing. He wrote a book called Vodka about how this liquor took over America in the early to mid-century. And he's just a great, funny dude, and has a similar approach to the world's sometimes heavy news as I do.
I got to listen to some recent episodes since I'm disenfranchised from my own political party.
Hey, I mean, this is, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. And that's Essie and I both have been in this position going, did I misunderstand what we were doing here? And I think a lot of people are in that situation this week. And I fear that it will get a little more uncomfortable before it gets better. But
yeah,
I do think schools would do themselves a favor by sanctioning students who block other people's speech or threaten violence or do vandalism. Those are lines that are very clear.
Right.
And you can love free speech and say that those are the lines. And if administrations would do that and send a message, they would do themselves a lot of favor for keeping things not so scary.
Right. Mary Katharine, it was delightful having you on.
Thank
you. Tell everyone where they can find you and what they should look at. Plug anything you'd like to plug.
Let's see. You can listen to Getting Hammered anywhere you find podcasts. You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at Getting Hammered Podcast. I'm at MK Hammer and at MK Hammer Time, depending on the place, because I didn't get them all to match. But you can find me in those places. And is there anything else? Oh, I was going to say, because we talked about the birth stuff. If you're a person who's thinking about birth strategies and perhaps had a hospital birth and didn't feel as much like you had your autonomy as you would like to or were supported in these ways, there are two Instagram accounts I would suggest. This one's odd name, but Tranquility by Hee.
How's Hee spelled?
Hold on, I'm going to double check it for you guys just so I don't mess this up. Apologies.
No problem. It sounds like a comedy club that also gives massages.
She is a sweet Southern lady who is trained for all things birth and doulaing, and just puts it really nicely how you can have thoughts about birth. Yes, Tranquility by Hee, H-E-H-E.
I love it.
And then the other
one... Is that
one,
her name?
Yes, it's a nickname clearly, but I don't know what her actual name is. The other one is
Laughs.
Labor and Legacy, who is a former makeup artist I think she might still be a makeup artist. She was a makeup artist of ours at CNN who she had 2 kids actually about the same spacing as I did. So we were friends through that. And she's become a doula and does a lot of Instagram information, particularly for women of color, which is a maternal category that is neglected in some ways that we need to fix. One of the things I love about my midwife practice is that it was started by a Black woman in the 80s in the Washington, D.C. area. So they have been like serving this population in a very real way for a very long time. And she's the best. She's retiring this year.
And Tony, what about you?
I'm mostly just Instagram these days at
Tony Thaxton.
And Bizarre Albums every Tuesday. And I'll be back on the road with Motion City Soundtrack in the Midwest and East Coast in January for 20th anniversary of our first album called I Am the Movie.
Wonderful. And follow me on social media at Allison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Fight with me on Threads. I'm on TikTok, the Allison Rosen. Please make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/Allison Rosen. Also, subscribe in your favorite podcast player. Leave us a review. It helps the show. 5 stars, please. Patreon, I mentioned. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. And I am newslettering now. I have a Substack, AllisonRosen.substack.com. You're still doing yours?
I am. Yeah? And I've been writing a little bit more, trying to pick up writing about grief and the story of Jake. And so I'm putting some installments at Hammer's Substack.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It was so good catching up with you. Tony, thank you. It was all right.
Yeah, feelings mutual.
Thank you so much for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Yeah, Allison Rosen